Love to fight him for the third time, and I've wanted to the whole time. And they put Conor on a big pedestal, and he made a lot of for a lot of different people in the fight game. Also, the UFC as a team, they made all that happen, and there's no doubt in my mind that me and him are going to finish that off, and that's for sure one of my biggest goals.
Since the Stockton gangster left the best league after defeating Tony Ferguson in a decisive manner, nearly a whole year has passed. During this time, Nate Diaz managed to make his boxing debut, and the fighting industry continued to gain momentum. Despite the fact that guys like our protagonist today are usually seen as the main villains and antagonists, sometimes there comes a moment in their lives when they need to defend their rights and put a more audacious opponent in their place. Get comfortable, because ahead of you is a compilation of cases when Nate Diaz punishes for trash talk and provocative behavior. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, also like and leave a comment of 4 words. Now, let's get started. The first matchup for today, worthy of your attention, took place in late December 2015. By that time, Nate Diaz had already integrated himself into the UFC roster and showcased his skills from various angles, challenging almost every lightweight fighter. Moreover, he even had the opportunity to contend for a world championship, but as history shows, unsuccessful. Nevertheless, the Stockton native held his ground confidently, facing only the best of the best opponents at that time. After victories over Gray Maynard and a knockout of the night de Rafael dos Anjos, the 3-round battle was spectacular, but it didn't favor Diaz. And prepare thoroughly for the next challenge. That opportunity presented itself 371 days later. At the 17th installment of UFC on Fox, Nate Diaz faced Michael Johnson, who was highly rated in the rankings to the extent that many wrote off Diaz, denying him chances of victory from the moment this news was announced.
Why back at 155 and not 170?
That's just the way things worked out. You know, they give me a list of names at 170, and it was like, never heard of any of them. Michael Johnson's ranked number 5. He's a better option than the other ones.
Leading up to the fight, Diaz answered questions in his signature style, reluctantly and succinctly. In contrast to Johnson, who apparently felt all that confidence from the fan community and genuinely believed that Nate wasn't a worthy opponent for him.
He's a Diaz brother. You know, they come in tough, they come in ready to fight regardless of their situation, regardless of how much work they put in the gym. He's going to come in and fight, and I don't think that loss really affects who he is now and who he once was. You know, he's still one of the best guys in the division. He always will be, but being that said, he was here, it was his time long ago, now it's my time, and I'm going to come in and dominate.
Final thing, how are you going to react when he starts talking smack to you, egging you on and things like that?
Right,
you like
here,
that?
right there, that smile right there, yeah, that motivates me. You know, if he's doing that, then I know he's not focused on the fight. He's focused on talking trash and getting in my head, and that means he's losing once he starts doing that. So that means a job well done for me.
Be that as it may, when we talk about the Stockton native and his nature, we can't ignore the likelihood that something significant will happen with his involvement. And that's exactly what happened when a few days before the scheduled fight, Diaz and Johnson's team met in a hotel and engaged in a small scuffle. Right after everything was settled, Johnson gave another interview revealing details of the conflict and unabashedly hinting at what he planned to do with his opponent.
You know, I'm walking kind of minding my own business. I just want to stare at him to really see what he's thinking and really see how he's acting towards me. And of course, you know, I walked by him, he was by one guy, he didn't say anything, he didn't run his mouth. I come back out and then he's with 6 other people. So now the real tough guy talk comes on and he just starts running his mouth, asking me what I'm looking at. You know, of course I come back, tell him I'm looking at you, you know, like what the thing, like what are you gonna do about it, you know? So he gets real tough, he calls me a bitch, does this, does that, and then he waits till a lot of people gets around before he pushes me. Which is really funny to me. So, you know, we both went our separate ways. You know, he kind of ran off and started flipping me off, but there's no time for all that. You know, tomorrow we're gonna fight. Tomorrow we're gonna see who the real tough guy is. So you can talk and put on a show in front of your friends, but you can't carry your boys in that cage with you. And once that door locks, it's just gonna be me and you. So I hope you're ready and bring that same energy.
Michael Johnson is far from a newcomer in the fighting industry. Even their records prior to the tournament once again confirmed this. 16-9 for him and 17-10 for the Stockton native. But whoever you are and whatever experience you bring into the octagon, you have to reckon with Diaz. Michael didn't do that and paid the price according to the rules. The Stockton gangster dismantled the American in a one-sided manner and successfully returned after his hiatus.
I felt like I was okay the whole fight. Then last minute, something happened where I got hit right in the eye and my eye got blurred, so I switched this way for a second. So it's a little weird thing, but nothing that was like devastating or anything crazy.
You know, it was an incredible experience. First off, you know, Nate's an incredible fighter, and you know, we went on there and gave you guys exactly what everybody wanted, and that was a fight of the night performance. But you really don't know how you're gonna react until he starts doing it, and you know, he sucked me in. So you know, congrats to him.
The next showdown for Nate Diaz traces its origins back to distant years when Anthony Pettis reigned in the lightweight division. Showtime claimed the UFC championship in 2013, and the following year he managed to secure one successful title defense. During that time, the Stockton native was steadily working his way back to the winning path and occasionally made bold statements about the champion. According to some reports, they even had a conflict, but there isn't much material about this situation online.
Pettis just say something to you?
Yeah, he didn't say shit. Put his head down and look down, but he's walking by like he's tight. And you know what? Call him a bitch right here because he thinks he's tight. He's been talking that shit in the internet and like, want to act like you don't see me when he's here, but don't act like you want to fight or act tight if you're not going to do shit.
As history revealed, there proved a rough patch in his professional career. After his loss to Tony Ferguson, he managed to stop Stephen Thompson and believed he was capable of going for the title. Nate Diaz had already reached superstar status in the world of mixed martial arts, which meant that every fight he participated in drew a significant amount of attention. Following a 3-year hiatus since his encounter with Conor McGregor, whom we'll discuss today as well, the Stockton gangster made his comeback. He returned just in time for the event in August the 17th at UFC 241.
Oh man, a perfect fight for me. You know me and Nate, we've had beef and drama for a long time. So just something that was supposed to happen a long time ago, and it's finally happening, and at a comfortable weight class for both of us. So it's gonna be a scrap.
You know what? I'm not that dude, bro. Like he was talking mad a long time ago, 4 years ago. Now that I saw that he's toned it down, it is what it is. You know, we fight, we squash it. I'm good with it. I see my hand getting raised, man. I feel like Nate Diaz had 3 years off. I'm not impressed with what he's done. I mean, he beat McGregor. Other than that, who has he beat? So I've been fighting. I've been on the front line since I came into sport. I'm fighting the best in the world, always. It was a 3-round fight, and I'm pretty to the finish. You know, I feel like he hasn't been around for 3 years. I've been fighting the best in the world. I just knocked out a guy who's never been knocked out, and I'm gonna find his chin. So once I find that chin, it's only a matter of time. No, we're not cool. Like me and Nate are not cool. I mean, like we never had any kind of relationship other than him throwing his middle fingers up at me. So you do that to me, then I'm assuming we have a problem. But now after this unfolds, there's no real problem, man. I feel like he was jealous of where I was at in my career, or he was at in his career. He got the McGregor fight, got his little income up, got his little followers up, and now he's content.
As the fight approached, Showtime's confidence dwindled. At the same time, Nate calmly awaited his cage entry and confidently held his ground.
But they know what they're doing. They're like, I want to fight. Who's next? I want to do whatever I'm told. I'm like, from day one. It's gonna stay the same too until I'm 100 years old. I'm the don of all this. Anybody gonna step in this room and say they're the ass whipper? I beg to differ.
To be frank, Anthony Pettis is indeed a very good fighter who climbed to the top fairly early and gained well-deserved fame for his skills. But by 2019, his prime had objectively passed, and making such statements about a guy who could perform at his best in any time frame was quite rash. For that, the Stockton native exacted double the amount of damage and pain from him, extracting everything he could from Pettis in the offered 15 minutes. Several times he caught him off guard so harshly that he came close to finishing the fight early. In any case, he secured a confident victory and successfully returned after his hiatus.
Yeah, I felt him a little up and down, but he had little comebacks where I felt like if I would have took it down a little bit and then been more like picking it apart, but then I also felt like 15-minute fight isn't enough time for that, so.
Man, that is crazy. You know, I respect Diaz though. Now that we fought, you know, obviously we had our beef, you know, coming up, but I respect him. He's a fighter's fighter. You know, like he's not afraid to take the risk, and he always says it. He's like, there's not real fighters left in MMA. Like, when I fought everybody. You know, I would come off a loss to Ferguson and fight Wonder Boy. You know, like that doesn't really happen like now. There's more businessmen in MMA now. Like it's.
Beautiful left hand by Diaz. Another right hand. A left hand.
Oh, big back to the elbow.
Oh, he got him.
Oh, another knee for Diaz. Oh, no, Diaz.
And now, the main guest of our program today, the legendary clash of the Stockton gangster with the infamously famous Irishman. It all began, as you remember, right after Diaz's victory over Michael Johnson.
Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your You know what's the real fight? What's the real money fight? It's me.
At that time, Conor McGregor had already broken several pay-per-view records and became the undisputed champion in the featherweight division. Soon after defeating the King of Rio, he intended to move up a weight class to challenge for the gold in the lightweight division and fight Rafael dos Anjos for the title. However, plans changed at the last moment as the Brazilian suffered an injury. The Ultimate League reacted promptly and offered Nate as a replacement on short notice.
Yeah, listen, cut out all this other stuff and I'd go through the whole roster in 4 months. And I tell you that right now, I'll whoop every single one of them inside 4 months if you cut out all this other stuff. Bring me in, weigh me in, and I'll fight the next night and wipe out the entire game inside 4 months.
I like his fight style a lot better than a lot of people's fight style. The fight games got really weak in the last long time. So I guess I could say that I appreciate somebody who will come and fight.
He even tried to pick on John Anik the other day. He has a bully mentality until a real man shows up. Like Mike Tyson said, he's scared of a real man.
John Anik, fuck you. How about that?
He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood. But at the same time, he coaches kids jiu-jitsu on a Sunday morning and goes on bike rides with the elderly. He makes gun signs with the right hand and animal balloons with the left hand. So you're a credit to the community. F you.
Well, I don't give a what you say, motherfucker. Yeah, thugging on mine, motherfucker. What you got?
Hey, Connor, Nate, it's Shane Wells with CNBC. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm going to talk about money because we are the business network and the business of the UFC and all that
I'll take
sort of
over
stuff.
from here, Nate. You can bounce. Take a coffee break, Nate. And by coffee break, I mean bring me my coffee.
No. They want you to give us a quick count to 10, both of you gentlemen, if you don't mind, just if you wouldn't mind counting to 10.
Nate can only count to 5. 10. Count to 5, Nate, will you, if you can?
Count.
Who you up with that coffee?
I ain't counting. How about
and
that?
who do you up with that coffee? You broke. I could buy and sell you 100 times over.
I'm here to kill or be killed in Stockton, California. Fuck this little bitch. Fuck you.
It's another day for me. One pulls out, another one steps in. I'm used to it. I was just giggling at his little soft body. I've never seen a skinny guy. How can a fat guy be so skinny at the same time? It amuses me, but I'm looking forward to go in there, put the martial arts back into the game.
The main event of UFC 196 became the most anticipated of 2016, not counting the subsequent rematch between these two 5 months later. A lion's share of credit for this achievement stems directly from the mutual animosity, exquisite trash talk, and genuine emotions leading up to the encounter. But the actual fight involving Conor and Nate exceeded all expectations of both the audience and the organization. On the night of March the 5th, Diaz shocked the world, becoming the first fighter in the UFC to stop the Notorious in a premature manner. He exhausted McGregor, made him gasp for air in search of oxygen, forced him to shoot for takedowns, and choked out the Irishman in the 4th minute of the 2nd round. It was after this fight that people fell in love with the Stockton native and turned him into...
He was, I felt I took him the 4th round, but I was inefficient with my energy. But I'm humble in victory or defeat. I respect Nate. He came in, he took the fight on short notice, came in at 170 and done the job. He was efficient. I wasn't efficient. That was it, I feel.
My goodness! Now he's got the back! Now! That's it! He's got the shot! Nate Diaz! He's out! He has done it! It is all over! Nate Diaz!
What are your thoughts on the potential return of the Stockton native to MMA and the completion of the trilogy with Conor McGregor? Share your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you believe that Nate Diaz will still showcase his skills in the octagon. And of course, leave a like if you want to experience the full force of the Stockton slap plus finishing touch. Until next time.